Hey, what's happening, guys? Good morning, everybody. What's cracking, YouTube? You guys have tuned into Rules for Rebels. Got a little bit of time to kill this morning, so figured we'd knock out a quick video. We're going to be talking about a lot of things. We're going to be talking about the main thing I wanted to focus on. I found an article titled Skimpflation, Shrinkflation, and the Rising Rebellion of Workers and Consumers. We're going to be talking about a lot today. We're going to be talking about crypto yesterday. Shiba was up like crazy. Shiba was up really, really big yesterday. I wanted to kind of talk about, it seems like everybody kind of has a sense of impending doom, of societal collapse, of economic collapse, of housing market collapse. And you can kind of see this by the type of YouTube content that's being put out, as well as what's kind of being searched for, what channels are growing. I'm a big fan of Jay Bravo, but if you look at his channel, what do we got here? We got Prepare for Chaos, Be Warned, It's Chaos, This is an Apocalypse, Alarming Losses, Be Prepared, The Crash has Begun, It's Coming, Exposed, Crashing Red. This is a channel that I've talked about before, but this is crazy to me, and it kind of shows like how desperate and in some ways pathetic people are. There's no more stimulus checks coming. We had, what, 3, maybe 4 stimulus checks. At this point, there are no more stimulus checks coming. And for a while, stimulus check YouTube channels were kind of the big thing. You know, everybody loves free money, whatever. But this guy, Adam Snyder, who used to have a, make money online entrepreneurship, business news channel, has turned into a stimulus check channel. And literally for the past year and a half, on a daily basis, if not sometimes 2-3 videos per day. Stimulus update? Are more stimulus payments coming? I mean, we haven't had a stimulus check in, it's 6 months, a year, whatever, and it's still 1 to 2 to 3 videos per day talking about a stimulus check coming. And what's even crazier, I mean, this video from 6 days ago has 46,000 views, $2,000 stimulus payments coming. Like, there's no stimulus coming, yet people are still tuning in every day. 46,000 people, 27,000 people, 30,000 people, 32,000 people tuning in to hear about a stimulus check that isn't coming. And then there's also like a rise of like the prepper channels and things like that. It's been a really weird, almost past 2 years now. I remember when the thing kicked off I think things really kicked off in maybe March of 2020. I kind of remember the start of everything because I remember in January, I think it was January 17th or January 21st of 2020, I went down to Tampa to look at houses, and I remember on my flight back, I'd heard a little bit of kind of buzz in the news about this whole beer cough thing going on. But nobody was really taking it seriously. It was kind of like the swine flu kind of thing where like, oh, that's something, over in a foreign country that's that's not affecting us. But I remember flying back into O'Hare Airport and seeing some non-Asian people wearing face masks. It's not that uncommon to see like Asian people wearing face masks. O'Hare is an international airport. They get people from all over the world wearing masks in Asia. Isn't that uncommon? But it was like weird seeing white people wearing face masks. And I'm like, that's kind of strange. And I remember getting back to my girlfriend's parents' house from our Uber and kind of like seeing something on the news. And it's like, oh, this is kind of crazy. Obviously, everything kicked off. I think it was the day after St. Patrick's Day is when lockdowns and things like that started here in Chicago and here in Illinois. And that kind of kicked off the beginning of a lack of logic in anything making sense, right? We have this terrible thing coming. Everybody's got to lock down. We got to shut everything down. Oh, but St. Patrick's Day is happening in like 3 days. The bars need to make their bar money. The city of Chicago or the state of Illinois, we want to get our tax money off of that. So we're going to hold off on locking down until, after St. Patrick's Day. And we had a big old St. Patrick's Day, dyed the river green. Everybody was bar hopping. It was a gay old time. And then after that, that kind of kicked off everything. And throughout the pandemic, we kind of saw, I kind of talked about this before. There was this very eerie feeling. There was this kind of weird feeling of like a snow day. If you guys are from areas where you get snow, you guys probably know that kind of feeling where, you get snowed in or there's a blizzard and nobody goes to work. And it's just one of those days that you just don't feel like doing anything. You throw on a pair of sweats, you roll a couple joints, you make yourself a hot cocoa or a coffee, throw on some movies, and it's just kind of a day to do nothing because there's nothing to do. You can't get out of your driveway. Pretty much all businesses are shut down, and it's just kind of this feeling of, I guess we just got to kind of sit here and kind of wait this out. If you guys aren't from an area with snow, maybe by you it's hurricanes or something else, but this kind of feeling of, a snow day, a rainy day, that kind of persisted for months and months, if not even like an entire year. The stock market had crashed back early in 2020, but it was kind of amazing how quickly things rebounded. And a lot of people said, something's not right. Like the stock market isn't reflecting what's going on Main Street. And people kind of, poo-pooed that away, saying, well, the stock market is forward-looking, or the stock market doesn't represent Main Street. That's true, right? The stock market, like 80-90% of the stock market is either down or trading flat. It's really like a handful of tech companies that's kind of propping everything else up. But I feel like there's kind of been this feeling, since the beginning that like, this is irrational. The stock market shouldn't be going up like this when all businesses are shut down, people are struggling, nobody's working, we have supply chain issues, and things have only gotten worse in the past few weeks, the past few months. But the stock market continues hitting all-time highs. I'm gonna get sidetracked a little bit. How many Shiba holders out there do we have, man? Shiba was going fucking crazy yesterday. If any of you guys made a bunch of money yesterday off Shiba, drop a comment and tell us about it. Pretty much everything besides Shiba yesterday was pretty much in the red. I didn't have a lot of Shiba, but I have taken some of my staking profits from Cake and some other coins, and was kind of throwing some of that money, since it's basically free money, into Dogecoin and Shiba. So I didn't have a ton, but I had a little bit of Shiba, a little bit of Dogecoin. And when Shiba was going crazy yesterday, I should probably hold on. We've seen kind of what meme stocks do, and when people kind of go crazy supporting a certain stock or cryptocurrency, how nuts things go. So maybe I should have held on a little bit longer, but seeing the rest of the market down and Shiba up, I actually wound up selling off my Shiba and throwing some money into to Bitcoin and Ethereum. I figure if one coin's going through the roof and the other two are down, it's probably a good place to sell and rebuy some of those ones. So I sold off most of them. I sold off all of my Shiba yesterday, although I have no doubt it probably will continue going up. I don't want to get sidetracked. What kind of kicked me off into deciding to make this video, so and I already made 2 failed attempts at this video, so if I already said this, excuse me, sometimes I kind of get confused. But last night, I needed to run to the grocery store and get some creamer for my coffee. So I won't wind up running to the grocery store, grab some lunch meat, grab some fresh fruit, had a taste for some fruit, grab some creamer for my coffee. And I don't need a lot of cereal, but, cereal is kind of like a snacks food that I enjoy from time to time. Or if I got a sweet tooth, I might grab a box of cereal. So I go to grab some cereal, and I think I've talked about on this channel before seeing the prices of cereal go up, right? I've noticed it like creep up $1, $1.50, $2, whatever. But last night, man, I was surprised. Like, I'm looking at the Captain Crunch, I'm looking at the Apple Jacks, I'm looking at the Honey Smacks, and almost every box of cereal is like $5.99 or more. And these aren't the tiny boxes, they're decent-sized boxes, but it's not like a family-sized box. And I think the Cheerios, the big family-sized box of Honey Nut Cheerios was $6.99 or $7.99. And I was like, fuck, man, I'm not spending $7 on a box of cereal, even though it was a decent-sized box. And then I noticed a box for, I think it was $2.39 or $3.39. And I noticed it was small, but I go to pick up this box. Man, this box is the narrowest fucking box of Cheerios I've ever seen. This box is so narrow that, like, when you set it on the table, it almost doesn't want to stand upright because, obviously it's much taller than it is wide. And this article kind of talks about, shrinkflation, skimpflation, and how narrow boxes of cereal are getting. And not only was this box of cereal incredibly narrow, but the bag inside of the box was only about a quarter of the way full. So, to me, it's like, oh, well, that's only $2.39. That's not bad compared to these $7 boxes of cereal. But I'm getting way less cereal than you ever would have in the past for buying like a normal-sized box of cereal. And this article here kind of, I thought does a good job of kind of highlighting everything that's kind of going on. Again, the stock market in 2020 wound up having a quick recovery, shot up, and then started hitting all-time highs. And I think a lot of people are hesitant to get back in, thinking none of this makes any sense. None of this is really backed by anything. This is only propped up with the Fed printing fake money. And we've since learned that the Fed was actually printing fake money and putting it into stocks that they own to enrich themselves. So I think that's kind of where this article gets with kind of the rebellion of society, the rebellion of citizens, the rebellion of workers. But I thought this article kind of does a good job at kind of encompassing all the craziness going on right now. I think there's a tendency of people to, if their guy's in party, if their guy is in power, if their party is in power, to try to make things look good, or things aren't that bad, he's not doing that bad of a job. I think everybody kind of realizes that society is headed in the wrong direction. You go to the grocery store, there's empty shelves. I've seen some grocery stores are actually putting up like props and fake items to make it not look so empty. There's companies putting up, fake props in the cereal aisle. I've even seen some articles recently of, in the produce section, they're putting up like little placards of pictures of asparagus as opposed to real asparagus, because they don't have real asparagus. And just to try to make things not look so empty. And I don't think anybody can really objectively look at the world, look at their day-to-day life and say, you know what, I really think things are headed in the right direction, or I really think Biden's doing a great job. One thing that's kind of crazy, this week on the Billboard music charts, the Let's Go Brandon song is actually taking up 4 of the top 10 spots. There are 3 versions of Let's Go Brandon that are above Adele, who had been dominating the charts for almost like 2 weeks. You got 4 versions of Let's Go Brandon in like the top iTunes charts. I think number 1, number 2, and number 3 are versions of Let's Go Brandon by 3 different artists. Adele is number 4, and then I think number 8 or number 9 was another version of Let's Go Brandon, which is by the same artist who's in a number 1 spot, but he's got like an extended version. And, typically like the music and entertainment world, I would say leans left with like Biden. And, so for the Billboard top 10 to contain 10 versions of Let's Go Brandon, kind of tells you that society as a whole isn't really happy with President Biden or the direction that this country is going. Before we get into this, I've had a couple people say that, they're not as big of a fan of the news, or they want to get back to a lot of the make money online content. I would love to get back to that. I've just been so busy lately. I just very rarely have time to actually sit down in front of the computer and make a video, let alone kind of like plan for the videos or make slides or whatever else. So I am thinking about bringing back Side Hustle Tuesdays. I do have some videos I'd like to put out in the coming week about, looking for product suppliers in unlikely places, finding U.S.-based suppliers, and kind of finding some different types of items. And the reason for this is because, the cost to get a container here from China used to be $2-3 grand. It's like 17-18 grand now. I talked to one business owner recently who paid 30 grand to get a half a container over here. So getting things from Alibaba, getting things from AliExpress, getting things from China, for a lot of people isn't happening right now. So if you can find a U.S. supplier, if you can find a U.S. manufacturer, if you can kind of find some different items. One item I'm doing right now, I'm making some custom gift cards that I'm selling on like Amazon, eBay, Etsy. Haven't set up a Shopify store yet. But I found a printer here where I can get business cards, or business cards, gift cards, not gift cards, like greetings cards made for like 11 cents a pop. So that's one of the items I'm selling. I'm doing bumper stickers. There's a couple other items. I'm kind of finding some unconventional items and finding suppliers here in the U.S. where I can get items. And I will put some videos out, maybe talking a little bit about that. We've been rambling long enough, so let's get into this article. Skimpflation, Shrinkflation, and the Rising Rebellion of Workers and Consumers. Well, corporate America is focusing on preserving its precious profits. Its customers and workforces are rebelling by walking away. And I can definitely relate to this. I recently commented to my girlfriend, and I think I said it on one of the YouTube videos recently, like I'm basically just done dining out for probably the next year, if not more, until things start improving. I feel like, every restaurant you go to is understaffed. Nobody really cares about what they're doing. And this is, I kind of got sidetracked. Earlier in this video, I kind of talked about that feeling of like a snow day earlier on during the pandemic. And I feel like that feeling has kind of stuck around, right? Like everybody's feeling kind of lackadaisical. Nobody really gives a shit. Like, yeah, there are some issues. The other day, I had sold my rental house, so I wound up having to call up, ComEd and Nicor and the power company and the garbage company and kind of turn off all these services. When I was talking to like ComEd, they're like, oh, we're still working at home, so I can't transfer you. Here's a number you got to call. And yeah, there are, the world has changed. A lot of people are working from home, even though this has been going on for almost 2 years. Apparently ComEd still hasn't gotten people the proper like phone lines they need inside their houses to be able to transfer people. But, yeah, there are little hiccups like that caused by changes in how we work. But I also feel like there's this kind of sense where just nobody really has any pride in their work. Nobody really gives a shit. And I guess, can you really blame people when people are underpaid and people are having more and more asked of them, and that's why people are walking off? But I feel like throughout this entire pandemic, there's been kind of this kind of lackadaisical feeling. But right now, with the short staffing, the lack of raw materials, the product shortages, things are getting even worse. I feel like small restaurants, locally owned restaurants, family-owned restaurants are a little bit better because they actually kind of take some pride in their business and they have a reputation to uphold. But I mean, if you go to a Chili's or an Applebee's or something like that, nobody there has any ownership in the company. Nobody there really has any pride in the place. And can you really expect them to make $9 an hour or whatever else? So you go to these places and it's just like really shitty service. I normally don't eat at like mainstream places or chains to begin with, but a few weeks back I was out in Ohio. My nephew loves fucking biscuits, so I took him to Bob Evans to get some biscuits, and there were like 2 people working the whole restaurant, 1 cook and 1 waiter. Not only was the service and things like that really slow, which I can't really fault them for. There's 2 people running an entire restaurant. But I mean, the food was cold. My coffee was cold. It was just overall a really shitty experience. And why am I going to go out to eat to get that? I mean, I think fast food's gone downhill. Not that I eat much fast food, but on a rare occasion I do eat fast food. That's kind of gone downhill. So it's like, why am I going to even go out and spend my money on shitty service, shitty food? You know, I'll just get food at the grocery store, which is going to cost me more anyways. But I'll cook it myself, and I'll be the one responsible for it, and I'll actually eat a good meal. But let's kind of get into this. We all see shrinkflation on a daily basis. The 16-ounce container is now 13 ounces. The breakfast cereal box is now so narrow it topples over. And, you know, sometimes Zero Hedge exaggerates, but I mean, this is no lie. I think for this thumbnail, I got to head out the door in a minute here, but I think for this thumbnail, I may take a picture of the cereal box of Honey Nut Cheerios I bought last night with like a quarter in front of it to show you guys how narrow this thing really is. I mean, it's literally probably half the width of a normal cereal box. We're not even talking about like the family size. More subtly, the quality of ingredients is also diminishing. Sharp-eyed consumers note that salt, sugar, and artificial flavors are increasingly used to mask the decline of quality, and producers scrape the bottom of the barrel to eke out and make a profit. A recent NPR article proposes another form of untracked inflation, skimpflation, the decline of services as prices march higher. Meet skimpflation, a reason inflation is worse than the government says it is. I don't think I've actually read that article, so I'll give that one a read if it's interesting. Maybe we'll do a video about it. I'm guessing it's just with businesses being short-staffed. Maybe the amount of selection you have is less, the quality of service you have is less, and that's something we've talked about as well. But you know, last night I was getting, that's what I got. I got some coconut milk for my cereal. And normally there's like Blue Diamond coconut milk, there's Silk coconut milk, there's like Jewel Osco brand coconut milk, there's like a half coconut, half almond milk blend. There's like, you know, 8 fucking kinds of oat milk. Like there's like literally 2 coolers full of coconut milk, oat milk, and almond milk. I don't drink real milk. And I was kind of surprised. It was like Silk or oat milk. There were like 2 options. So a lot of these companies out there are focusing on only making the most popular or only making their core items and not making some of these like ancillary items or spin-off items that they normally have because, you know, they can't keep up with demand of all the items, let alone even one. The article notes that skimpflation isn't just a reflection of greedy corporations squeezing consumers to fatten profits. Cough, Disney cough. Skimpflation is a direct result of the workforce declining to take jobs which they are treated as chattel. The article mentions the wholesale decline of service that traces back to the shortage of labor, long waits, spotty maid service. Hey pal, you try lifting those jumbo mattresses to tuck the sheets in all day for garbage level pay. The demise of breakfast buffets and Disneyland's still defunct tram service. Entry prices may have soared, but never mind, you have to come here, right here, because we brainwashed your kids, so pay up and shut up because you have to pay. There's no way out. As I've been saying for quite some time, labor has been devalued and denigrated for decades, and most recently in my conversation with Max Kaiser. In an economy obsessed with measuring money, economists focus on pay and benefits as if those metrics are all that matters. What about being valued? Having some say about one's work, being respected for one's efforts, and earning dignity, not just rapidly depreciating dollars. None of those realities ever enter mainstream economics, but that doesn't mean that they don't exist. It's not just low pay that makes work wretched, it's being treated as an object owned by the employer. Exploitation comes in many flavors, and they all taste bad. There's another factor left out of economists' obsession with counting dollars. The public is increasingly unhinged, and those having to deal with the public are paying an increasingly steep price. Flight attendants are being assaulted, workers are being threatened, cussed out, etc. Who wants a job where someone seeking to vent their rage can unload on an employee? And that's something we've talked about a lot, right? Like the labor shortage happens, and so companies wind up asking more of the existing employees that they have. Man, what the fuck is that? Hold on. Okay, I got an old phone that I don't use much that I just use for Google Authenticator. I guess it was on and the alarm was going off there. But yeah, companies face a labor shortage. They wind up asking more of their existing employees. Hey Johnny, can you work an extra shift? Can you stay a little bit late today? Could you skip your day off? Hey, I know you had a vacation planned for next Tuesday through Friday, but Bill just got fired or Bill just quit, so we're going to need you to fill in for him as well. You wind up asking more and more of your employees as things continue getting short-staffed. Customers get more frustrated and take their anger out on employees. And so, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. It causes more people to quit, and then it's harder to hire new people because who wants to come work at a stressful place where you're going to get screamed at and where you're going to have a ton of stuff asked of you for very little pay. Labor's quiet rebellion is feeding a self-reinforcing feedback loop of claps. Corporate America, so accustomed to treating its workforce like donkeys, just load on more work, has responded to the labor shortage by increasing the workload on those still on the job, burning out the remaining employees in the process. And that's something I was kind of just talking about and something we've talked about in a lot of videos recently. The Darwinian feedback, those willing to stay on the job are soon crushed by overwork and screaming customers, increases the pressure on managers to cut services and load more work on whoever is left as a sole means of meeting management's relentless demands for more sales and more profits, as the means to do so fall off a cliff. The financial nobility's answer: give the super wealthy more trillions, trickling down to the real world. Conjuring money out of thin air while changing absolutely nothing in the real world economy is not going to force workers to take chattel jobs, which only get more oppressive with each passing day. And you guys may or may not remember, a couple weeks back, the government thought that they could just print a $1 trillion silver coin, and all of a sudden that solves all the problems in the world. I mean, it's just fucking stupid. Imagine the berobed noble being driven down from the castle to address his army of indebted serfs, and you have a snapshot of corporate America. Oh, how sweet and endearing the noble's false phrases of appreciation, and then whip comes out. It's not just the workforce that's rebelling. Consumers will eventually rebel too. The solution to corporate scrimping on service is to simply stop giving them money. Don't wait in line for diminished products. Don't book the room or flight. Do something better and more satisfying with your time and money. And it's kind of, an example of, like I said, I just told my girlfriend the other day, like, fuck eating out, unless it's a small family restaurant, which I went to a great small family restaurant, taco place in Pilsen this past weekend. It was great service. The waiters were good. They were very welcoming. The food was great. But, fuck going to most places because it's just, I don't know, it's just terrible. The returns on trying to make all of this go away by giving another trillion or $3 to the super rich are diminishing fast. Quiet rebellion leads to mass exodus, which leads to a death spiral of diminishing spending, debt, and the quantity and quality of goods and services, because the prime directive is increase profits or you're gone. While corporate America is focusing on preserving its precious profits, precious stock market bubble, and even more precious billionaires, its customers and workforce are rebelling by walking away. Good luck wooing them back with declining quality in both jobs and products. While we glorify self-glorifying, supremely arrogant billionaires, the economy is quietly collapsing beneath the rah-rah cheerleading narrative. Reduce the purchasing power of wages for 45 years as you load on more work, and eventually the banquet of consequences is served. Hey, Mr. Billionaire, take this job and your rocket and shove it. So I actually gotta head out in a moment here, so I'm gonna kind of leave you guys with that. Would love to hear your thoughts on this article and everything we've discussed today, as always. So go ahead and drop a comment down below. If you guys enjoyed today's video, give it a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed to the channel, click that subscribe button below, ring the bell, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.